A crypto investment service provider released a report stating that the Securities Exchange Commission, known as the SEC, is going to deny a spot Bitcoin ETF, and it sent the cryptocurrency market into shambles, tanking the entire market. Bitcoin turns 15 years old today, and the last thing that we're going to be going over is what a potential spot Bitcoin ETF approval could mean for the markets. Make sure you guys tune in all the way to the end of this video to find out all the details. Hey guys, it's Ryan with Big Dog Investing. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you guys could do a couple of things for me, if you guys could go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you guys have not done so already. Click the bell notification down below so YouTube can send you guys notifications whenever I release videos. Watch my videos all the way to the end. And if you guys could share my videos and share my channel with anyone, I'm trying to grow my channel as much as I can. I definitely need your guys' help in doing so. Getting started, today's be Wednesday, January 3rd. I wanted to point out my wife got me this for Christmas. I finally have it as my backdrop, and it should be the backdrop for the majority of my videos from now on. On my channel, we talk about anything that affects the financial markets. This can include political things, this can include stocks, and mainly focused on cryptocurrency. Right now, the total market cap for all cryptocurrency right now is $1.65 trillion. This is a 5.26% decrease on the day today. So in my last video, we had a nice run up about 6.5%, and now we had a nice drop off about 5.2%. And in my opinion, it was because that report / article was released. Fear and greed index right now, we're still at a greed word of 67. Bitcoin right now is currently trading at 42,900. Now just changed to $43,047. Ethereum is $2,230. And then XRP right now is 57.94 cents. If we look at the price charts for Bitcoin, for example, we had a massive sell-off. At the beginning of the day to start with, we had a high of roughly about $45,385. And then we had a massive sell-off to roughly about $40,813. So we had roughly about a $4,500 sell-off of cryptocurrency for Bitcoin's price. Now, a lot of people try to take advantage of this dip. If you guys bought into this right now, you're probably up about $2,200 on your guys' money. If you guys bought at the very bottom, a lot of people can't time the markets. If we look at the XRP chart, though, for example, also, because this is my favorite cryptocurrency, XRP was trading around roughly about 63 cents and had a low of 53.93. So roughly about a 9-cent sell-off. And then now, obviously, we recouped a little bit, about 4 to 4.5 cents right now. So if you guys took advantage of that, awesome. If you guys didn't, it's okay. Do I see a potential decrease still from where we're at? In my opinion, no. But make sure you guys do your guys' own independent research, and nothing I say should be considered financial advice. Getting into our biggest gainers and losers on the day, we have a little bit of gainers. Beam right now is at 15.1%. SEI is going to be up 7.4%. And then we got BGB right now up 8.7%. Biggest losers on the day, though, we have Clay right now down 25%. We got Loonsea down 17.4%. And then we got EGLD down right now 17.3%. Obviously, though, if we're down about 5%, the majority of our cryptocurrencies are going to be in the red. Some will be in the green, though. Getting into some news, though, this one was really interesting to me, and I do see this impacting financial markets, mainly medical-wise. So the DEA right now is reviewing marijuana's classification, and this is at the federal level. So we're seeing a lot of states in the United States through legislation passing and legalizing marijuana for medical purposes as well as recreational. So if you're over the age of 21 years of age, in certain states you are able to go to a dispensary and buy marijuana recreationally. There's limits on how much you can buy and how much you can carry, but they're trying to get rid of a lot of the charges right now that people right now are incarcerated for marijuana charges. With this, though, it's just individuals who were using it, not individuals who were selling and dealing and stuff like that. Those individuals, unfortunately, whether you agree or disagree, those individuals will probably still stay incarcerated, in my opinion. But right now, the Biden administration is trying to do this. And I found an article and I read what the article was about. But it says that the DEA tells Congress that it technically has the final authority on what marijuana is, whether it's considered a crime at the federal level or just at the city level or the state level, it can be considered legal, regardless of what the health agency's Schedule 3 recommendation is. Now, the DEA is actually reviewing this. They're just telling Congress, like, we technically have final say unless you tell us or make laws otherwise. on the books, the DEA has the final say on what's going on. I looked into Tesla for their quarter 4 report. So it's just the new year right now into 2024. So Tesla released their quarter 4 report. So their full year for 2023, they had 1.81 million deliveries and they produced 1.85 million. So they're right now down 0.04. They have to still get delivered, and that will probably get delivered here in quarter 1. But year over year, they're roughly about 35%, doing very well. If we look at the history of Tesla, they've delivered in total 5.5 million vehicles in history. Now, obviously, if you look at a big car manufacturer like Ford, Chevy, um, Toyota, for example, obviously they're going to be above this 5.5 million by a lot, but they've also been around for a while, and electric vehicles are considerably newer if you think about gasoline and diesel powered vehicles compared to electric vehicles. Um, with this, though, Elon Musk has a lot going on with SpaceX and Starlink. They're trying to do mobile service for anywhere around the world. So a lot of developing countries don't have access to cell phones or internet, and Starlink is trying to change that. So I wanted to add this in because it just shows exactly what's been going on at Tesla as well as SpaceX with their Starlink program. And this leads into what Tesla's future could be. So Morgan Stanley put out a note today on Tesla. Morgan Stanley is bullish on Tesla with a 380 price target. So keep that in mind while reading. If you guys want to do a little bit of reading, it tells you why Morgan Stanley believes that the price can go up to $380 probably by the end of the year. Now, Tesla stock right now is currently $238. So can this be considered a smart play? Possibly. Do your guys' own independent research on this. I used to be invested in Tesla. And I'm no longer invested. I, doubled or tripled my money in Tesla, and then I got out of the electric car business. Mainly, I just got out of stocks in general and only focus on cryptocurrency. But our national debt, for the first time in history, we have reached a $34 trillion national debt, and it keeps on going up every single minute. We've seen reports from the Biden administration that we're reducing the deficit, which is not true. Every single day, our deficit keeps on increasing. So mainly if they budget for a certain amount, let's say they budget for $100 billion, for example, for a program, but they only use 80 billion of it. They say, oh, well, we reduced the deficit by $20 billion for this program. Well, no, you didn't reduce the deficit. All you did was misappropriate funds, not misappropriate, but you guys didn't use those funds. So now you guys are going to use those funds for something else, or you guys just decided not to spend those taxpayer dollars. But overall, our national debt is still increasing. So we have to get that figured out, in my opinion. So to start off 2024, we have record U.S. debt interest payments. So our interest rates are really high right now. Expected record U.S. Treasury insurances in 2024, record speculative grade debt maturing over the next 5 years. So obviously we're going to owe even more money on our money that we technically owe. Moody downgrades US to negative from stable. So obviously we were doing excellent. Then we got back to stable. We saw Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen disagreeing with Moody's downgrade, and then now we just downgraded from stable to negative. So this does not look very good. But interest rates near a 40-year high. But what the interest rates are going to probably be doing, because we saw out of the last FOMC meeting, Fed Chair Jerome Powell announced that they do see at least 3 rate cuts in 2024. Hopefully they stick with that. But the U.S. stock market, for some reason, is at a near record high. And we also see that with the cryptocurrency market. We saw a high of about $68,000 per Bitcoin. And again, right now we're about 43, but just yesterday we were at 45. Now, this was really interesting. So Harvard's president, Claudine Gay, officially has resigned amid backlash over her controversy for her congressional testimony. You guys probably saw some of my TikToks or YouTube shorts on it. And then she also got accused of plagiarizing a lot of her works while she was finishing her probably her master's and her PhD program. So a lot of people were looking into her. So that was really interesting. But former President Trump has released summaries of a 2020 election fraud in Georgia, Wisconsin, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. If you guys want to read this. Now, this wasn't shown in a lot of the media that's been going on because a lot of new stuff has been coming out. Here's another document stating a little more detail about it. But this is what's been going on just today. So a list was released. I won't say an individual, but I will say he used to own an island, and a lot of elites used to go to this island. And his name's right here if you guys want to look at it. But one of the former presidents, and not the president that you're thinking of, because there's a lot of negative controversy to former President Trump, but another president right here from this administration. You guys will look at that because I've been banned from TikTok for a little bit. My videos have been suppressed. You guys can go and look and see some of my videos where I talk about some controversial stuff, and probably this video will get flagged too for whatever reason. But he says that this individual has a lot of problems coming up with the famous island, and then gives off his name. And what's really important about this is the list was actually released. And this individual says that the former president, named in the person who owned the island's documents, likes them young, referring to girls. I won't get into any more detail in it because it's really gross and sick. And all these individuals, in my opinion, if this is all true, deserve to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. They've gotten away with a lot of this. So it was great that the judge actually decided to release this. Now, there's a little video of this. His attorney is right here, stating that when in the courtroom that it's unfair for this judge to release this, saying that she's being selective on the names that are being released. And in my opinion, I disagree. I don't think the judge was being very selective. Out of the 180 to 200 names that were supposedly out there, about 150 so far have been released. I've read about 25% of what the stuff has been going on. It's a vast majority of information. It's like over 980 pages, so it's a lot. But the former first lady says, a throwback to New Year's Eve in 1999. Happy New Year. Let's make 2024 the year where successfully defend democracy again. And she posted this on New Year's Eve. But what's really interesting is you can no longer comment on anything that she posts. So I wanted to point this out. I did like this, so it shows up in my feed. I'm not actually liking her material, but it gets me a great way when I make my videos to be able to come in and flag a lot of this stuff. But yes, it's very interesting. Now, a lot of these individuals, these super elites that are actually being publicly named and shamed, you can no longer comment or have any public scrutiny. So, in my opinion, we'll see what happens. But put down in the comments if you guys disagree with what I'm doing about this. But unsealed in these persons who own the island, his list. The former president Trump did not visit any of the homes or the island and had no contact with these certain individuals that these people are getting accused with. When one of the sorry, excuse me. One of the girls in the testimony was asked, "When did Trump flirt with you?" And then she stated he didn't. That's what's inaccurate. The witness reported. So I wanted to point that out because there's been a lot of controversy because obviously he was a businessman and former President Trump is a businessman. So they probably had some business deals going on, but he didn't actually attend any of the events, wasn't at the island or any of the individuals' homes. And then there's actually reports I've been looking at that stated that he actually banned this individual from his Mar-a-Lago resort. I ended up putting a link right here. So everything that I talk about is going to be down in the comments. But if you guys want to, you guys can download the PDFs for it. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a while before I actually get through a lot of this. But I might make a video dedicated strictly to this. We'll see. It doesn't really impact the financial markets in a sense where if I release like a huge combination or a breakdown of what I read from this. But in my opinion, this whole thing does because a lot of our elites are actually named in this. So I got to go through it and get a little bit more. So I don't want to go into any more detail and waste your guys' time. But I did want to point that out. So thank you guys. And if you guys don't like it, go somewhere else. Find another channel, in my opinion. But this week in Congress, Ron Hanman ends up having this. So James K. Filan always posts what's going on. If you guys want to, I'm not going to go into detail about what's been going on because we know exactly what's been going on for the majority of the stuff. We're waiting for a spot Bitcoin ETF approval. Bitcoin's birthday right here. Coinbase releases a little bit of a keys right here. And with this is the Bitcoin white paper was the birth of an idea. The Bitcoin Genesis block was the birth of a movement. Happy birthday, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin first came out in 2009. It is 2024. So this is the 15th anniversary or 15th birthday of Bitcoin. So this was really cool for them to come out with. Not a lot of people were celebrating this or even talking about it. So I wanted to bring it up. But the Securities Exchange Commission schedules meetings, and this happened today, with New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, the CBOE, to finalize comments on a spot Bitcoin ETF. So they met with today, but the report came out early this morning. This article came out at 9:13. The other article came out around 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's what tanked the price. But Goldman Sachs in talks to become an authorized participant for BlackRock's and Grayscale's spot Bitcoin ETF. So they're in talks with this. We saw BlackRock. If you guys saw my last video, we talked about how BlackRock and Coinbase, um, or sorry, excuse me, BlackRock and JP Morgan. JP Morgan was going to be its authorized payment service provider for BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF application. $4.5 trillion asset manager Fidelity files registration of securities with the SEC for its spot Bitcoin ETF. So they made a couple of changes with their last filing, and a lot of these companies right now are making minor changes and adjustments to make sure that these get actually approved. Michael Saylor, who owns MicroStrategy, ends up saying that his investment is now at a $2,650,000,000 unrealized profit. So if he ended up selling, he'd have to pay taxes on $2,650,000,000. So obviously, if this individual is making this much money off of Bitcoin, we can see a possible future of the coin, in my opinion, and see a future with cryptocurrency. So Galaxy and Invesco spot Bitcoin ETF applicants release videos celebrating Bitcoin's birthday. So if you guys want to watch a small little video on it, you guys are more than welcome to. Vitalik Buterin, for those of you guys that don't know, he's the founder of the Ethereum network. He says all layer 2 should be working on trustless, Merkle proof based CCIP resolvers so that we can have ENS subdomains registerable, updatable, and readable directly on layer 2s. ENS is super important. It needs to be affordable. So right now with Ethereum, though, it's a big problem because Ethereum's network has a lot of gas fees. So what they're trying to do with this update is basically make Ethereum a little bit cheaper for individuals to use. In my opinion, I see this as a positive for the Ethereum network, but there's a lot of controversy with ETHgate and stuff like that. I'm not getting involved with Ethereum. I'm not going to be investing in it. But again, no financial advice. The XDC Foundation has won the TADS Award in DLT, distributed ledger technology, blockchain, and cybersecurity. I like XDC a lot. I think it has a huge potential, in my opinion, in the next bull run. It's one to look out for. Ripple comes out and says 97% of payment leaders believe blockchain and digital assets will have a significant role in enabling faster payments within the next 3 years. In our latest payments guide, discover how to accelerate global payments for an IT service business. And in my opinion, this article is really well written. Ripple, for those of you guys that don't know, is a company, and they actually utilize the XRP token. So if the company Ripple does well, in my opinion, I think that the XRP token will do well because they utilize it. Jim Cramer says you can't kill Bitcoin and it's here to stay. And this happened on the 2nd. And then this morning on the 3rd, Bitcoin tanked. So they call it the reverse Cramer. So anytime Jim Cramer states that something is going to do really well, normally within a week, whatever stock or crypto he talks about tanks drastically if it does well. And then the opposite, when he stated that Bitcoin was terrible, it shouldn't be here, Bitcoin's price actually drove up drastically. So some people stated that that's the reason why. And then John Deaton joked, let's be honest, it wasn't about some negative report on ETFs. It was the Cramer curse that he did it. And here's the report, though. So the report came out of Matrixport. So for those of you guys that don't know, they're a crypto investment service provider, and they came out with the reasons why they believe that the Securities Exchange Commission is going to reject all applicants to list a spot Bitcoin ETF fund this month. The current 5-person voting commission leadership, critical for ETF approval of the SEC, is dominated by Democrats, wrote the firm in a note on Wednesday. SEC Chair Gensler is not embracing crypto in the U.S., and it might be a very long shot to expect that he would vote to approve Bitcoin spot ETFs. So this is the report, in my opinion, that basically sent the cryptocurrency market into shambles. A lot of people were speculating that, this is the reason why the SEC is going to deny it. They haven't technically until January 10th to either agree to allow and approve a Bitcoin spot ETF, or they can come out and say that they need a little bit more time. So I'm projecting a January 10th. I don't see anything happening, in my opinion, until January 10th. If it does happen, I'll make a video sooner. But I try to make videos that are affecting the financial markets when we have a little bit of information to go off of. But this event yesterday, or technically today, was too big for me not to talk about it today. So we don't have a lot to talk about in my video, except there was a lot that went on with that list that was revealed today. $540 million liquidated from the crypto markets in the past 4 hours. And this was at 6:41 a.m. Obviously, that's a lot of money in my opinion, and liquidations kept ongoing from this. So it wasn't just $540 million that was liquidated throughout the day. There was a lot more. But this is what started the massive sell-off, and people feared for the markets, and they started selling off. And there's a lot of people that were speculating that this is mainly institutions trying to scare your average person, Joes like me and you, out of the markets so they can get in at a cheaper price. So maybe they try to coerce. Now, again, this is just a hypothetical, but made this report come out so that the price would drop. And then obviously we saw that Bitcoin was trading at 40,800 and now it's trading at 43,000. So for each Bitcoin, somebody's saving about $2,000, $2,200 per Bitcoin based off of a phony report because it wasn't denied. And that there's a lot of reports stating that it actually might get approved by the end of this week. Coinbase ended up appearing on CNBC. I believe it's CNBC. Let's see really quick. Yeah, I believe it's CNBC. I think that's what the thing is right here. This little logo. But he ended up coming up. His name is Hassan Hamed, and he is the person that works over at Coinbase. And he comes out and states that a lot of individuals and a lot of institutions are waiting to get their hands on cryptocurrency. They just can't. In this video, he states that the $30 trillion advised kind of wealth management industry in the United States currently is locked out from accessing this asset class. So a lot of these big corporations and big institutions like BlackRock, for example, can't buy any Bitcoin right now using consumer funds. And consumers have been going out and saying, hey, we want to get into cryptocurrency a little bit. Obviously, not their entire portfolio, but they want to dabble about 5 to 10%, for example. Well, they haven't been able to do that because there isn't a security that's being listed. Now, cryptocurrency in of itself are not securities, in my opinion. We saw Judge Annalisa Torres say that the XRP token through the Ripple versus the SEC case in of itself is not a security. So as of right now, by law, Bitcoin and XRP are the only two non-security cryptocurrencies by law. Everything else has the ability to. We're seeing a bunch of lawsuits out of the SEC. But if you change a Bitcoin into a spot Bitcoin ETF, it now makes that spot price a security. So these individuals and these big corporations can now actually start buying it because they're regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission. So we'll talk about what we can see about a future with this. Eleanor Tourette says, new from On Me today is the SEC Gov meetings with exchanges, SEC stock exchange officials meet ahead of a potential spot Bitcoin ETF approval. So this is what we talked about a little bit earlier with our Watcher Guru news. Jeremy Hogan says that the BlackRock filing 2 weeks ago only had 3 changes of any substance, and that the subjective changes related to the broker role of cash creates was just BlackRock making changes at the request of the SEC, but I don't really see any change that would suggest a denial is incoming. So it looks like they just wanted to change a little bit of the wordage and language in what was going on with their reports, not changing anything of substance that the SEC would have to have a lot of talks with the other commissioners of the SEC or the other heads. Now, Dave Weisenberg says those who point to Bitcoin price action as proof of when the spot ETFs will be approved miss the fundamental difference between crypto speculations or speculators, which have driven price action, Bitcoiners who have potentially accumulated and might be getting less patient, and the actual Bitcoin coverts, which are the trickle now, will become a small stream that when it approves start and then turn into a raging flood once the market departures hit their stride. Simply put, 45,000 is just a bit of patience being lost. The real action comes later. So what's going on is this whole action with the report coming out, and a lot of people who are invested in cryptocurrency, we're fearful of the market. We got to sell our Bitcoin, and that dropped the price from $45,000 to that 40,800 level. But once institutional money, this converts is coming, it's talking about the institutional money, that's going to drive the price of the cryptocurrency market up. Again, do your guys' own independent research, but I agree with this. I do see a massive influx of a lot of money. A senior Bloomberg analyst says that we have heard nothing to indicate anything but approval from a spot Bitcoin ETF. We've seen that the Securities Exchange Commission has actually lost a lot in the courts. And the last thing from Meta Lawman, if the SEC were to deny all Bitcoin spot ETFs, The applicants would immediately sue, and the DC Court of Appeals would again rule that the SEC arbitrarily and capricious in their actions against what cryptocurrency is and innovations. They haven't given out really any reasons why it shouldn't be approved. They're basically just saying we just don't like it, in my opinion. Now, the SEC gave every reason they had for denying Grayscale, and they lost in the courts. And we talked about that in one of my previous videos. And he states that I expect nothing but approvals on January 10th. And this is where I agree with. I don't see anything happening until January 10th. I hope that it does happen sooner, but in my opinion, we have to wait till January 10th. Thank you guys for tuning into my video. I appreciate all of you guys. And if you guys can invest with the big dogs, stay on the porch. Thank you guys and have a good one.